How you guys doing? Good afternoon. Good to be back. Last couple weeks. Sometimes the way I operate is if I get overwhelmed or take too much on, I gotta step back and decompress myself. Again, I always preach or not preach. Talk about being self-aware. Always check from the neck up. So I was being overwhelmed. I had to take time to decompress and get my thoughts together and think about what I'm going to go over after a couple weeks being away from everything and reading on my own. We're going to talk about something that's been on my mind the last couple weeks, and it's very rarely will you see me take something from Jocko and try to apply it to our recovery per se. Like I said, a little bit about me. I'm a veteran, served in the Army, firefighter, alcoholic. So a lot of these quotes, not just stoicism. Yes, this is stoicism, but we're going to take a different avenue this time. As I said in the beginning, day one, um, I'm very military minded when it comes to my recovery. Um, really pushing, really going hard, leading by example. And a lot of times it's not easy. Sometimes I am human, and there's times where you want to, as a alcoholic, we already know, we want to drink. So practicing what I preach and applying it is one of the key things about being a leader and sending a message out. Not this do as I say, not as I do. We ran into plenty of that for your veterans, firefighters as well. So I took a quote from Jocko, one of many. So we may go on this little kick with trying to apply his quotes, and not just for military key leaders becoming a leader, but for your own personal accountability. So we could take a break from the stoicism for a while. What I um, what I put up there, one of many off of Goodreads, recommend it. Uh, this comes from Extreme Ownership: How U.S. Navy SEALs Lead and Win. Now, yeah, we're not Navy SEAls. I'm not a SEAL. I'm just a grunt medic. But it's not about the words. It's about the wisdom and the message that's behind them. How you are open and accepting of the message that's being said by this guy. Um, when setting expectations, no matter what has been said or written, if substandard performance is accepted and no one is held accountable, if there are no consequences, that poor performance becomes the new standard. Pretty deep. Let's take a look at extreme ownership for rehab. Extreme ownership for recovery means taking 100% responsibility for your personal recovery, including your setbacks and successes, without blaming others, and developing a concrete plan to overcome obstacles and to win. Key principles including taking radical accountability, prioritizing what needs to be done, keeping plans simple, and acting decisively to regain control of your situation. Come on, guys, that is right there. Boom. Recovery and rehab right there. Core principles is quite a bit, um, but we'll just go with core principles of extreme ownership for recovery. Absolute accountability. Said that day one. Let me take a step back. I know there's a lot of unfinished stuff on here, like certain steps, certain procedure, operations, OPs, policy, whatever you want to call it. There are certain things I didn't accomplish yet because I keep taking a step back and addressing a lot of other stuff that I feel has to be addressed before taking those steps. Absolute accountability. You are responsible for everything that happens in your recovery journey. Do not look for excuses or blame external factors when you face a setback. We're going to get all these in a minute. Check your ego. Set aside pride and arrogance to acknowledge mistakes and weaknesses honestly, and weakness honestly. This humility is crucial for genuine self-improvement and recovery. Let's check your ego. AA, a lot of AA people do have egos, and they're not humble no matter what they want to say. Humility is open to different ways, different strategies, and we'll dive into strategies and tactics down the road. Different ways to achieve recovery and to stay sober. It's not one set way, it is a multiple ways to accomplish a mission. No bad teams, only bad leaders. In recovery, you are your own leader, not AA, not your sponsor. I'm tired of hearing everybody saying AA don't work and my sponsor failed me. No, your sponsor is to give you, is what we call point. They are to give you point. They are to give you the plot. They're to help you plot. They're to show you the point. You take the map, you take the tool, and you get out there and you take ownership. If your recovery isn't progressing, the problem isn't bad circumstances or bad luck, but with your strategy and execution. Prioritize and execute. Limited time and energy, focus on the most critical tasks for your recovery. Create a clear plan and act decisively, even when things are chaotic. When I came out of rehab, everybody knows our life is chaotic. We screwed up. We're trying to accomplish everything at once, and then we fail. My first goal when I came out, knowing how many, I could tell everybody now, a lot of us had bad credit. We were sober, good credit, drinking, bottom of the barrel credit. I'll be honest, my credit was good before I started drinking, before I went down that downward spiral. Now I'm recovering. When I came out of recovery, my first objective, my first goal was to focus on sobriety immediately for a year. Not a couple months, not a year, focus on that, bam. And that was and it's always going to be the main focus. The next step is to fix my credit. The next step after that is to obtain a house. So you can see, the plans are not tactics. It is a strategy for your long-term goal to accomplish. And don't focus on the goal. Focus on the path. Focus on the growth. Prioritize and execute. Keep it simple. Overcomplicated plans can lead to confusion. Simplify your recovery goals and the steps to achieve them. You don't have to, it could be the 12 steps. It could be different steps that you pick up along the way. But keep it simple. Don't jump out trying to take on the world at once. Focus on one thing at a time. I always tell everybody, when you're coming out of sobriety, coming out of recovery, focus on your sobriety for a year. For a year. I mean, make that your priority, but just focus on what you got to do to stay sober. We're not going to get into the stoicism at this point, but that's your plan. Your first plan, stay sober, focus on meetings, making the meetings, growing, learning, picking up a book, learning new tools, getting to the gym, anything that's going to contribute to proper sobriety, mind, body, spirit. Not just church, not just the mind, but the body. I tell everybody who's coming out of rehab and recovery, hit the gym. That is creating a healthy body. We butchered our body, we butchered our mind, we butchered our spirit. You get all those in line for a year, it's going to be like this afterwards. You're going to enjoy it. Decentralize command. While you are the leader, you can also empower different units within yourself. Again, here we go. Mind, body, spirit, emotions to execute specific aspects of a recovery plan. Going back into the little stoicism here, dichotomy of control. You control here, internal, not what's out there. Lead by example. Your discipline and commitment to your recovery plan inspires your own motivation and can help others who may be struggling. In the end, the final step of AA is to get back into lead. That's what it is. People in AA hate, I'm a sponsor. No, you're a leader. People look to you. It's fact. People can see it. It doesn't matter. I've only been sober for 13 months and they're coming to me, or I've been sober for 20 years. It doesn't matter. It's how your approach, it's how your convictions are, it's how you take yourself seriously. That's why I call it extreme accountability. Extreme ownership or accountability, but extreme ownership. Applying extreme ownership to your recovery. Identify the problem. Clearly define the core issues hindering your recovery. Man, that's why I said it took me a couple weeks to figure this out. We got to find out why a lot of us don't approach, again, going back to the W, who were you before? Who were you during? Who are you now? And who you want to be? We'll work on those later. But you got to get to the core and the root. We covered this. Again, extreme. And people don't want to confront that. You got to look at yourself and say, what is causing me to want to relapse? Or what did cause you to relapse? That's another thing. Just because you fall, and again, relapsing is by your own decision, but I don't mean you got to take the beating and lay down. That means you get up, but you got to eventually look at what is causing you to relapse. Identify the problem. Ask why. This is where critical thinking comes in, and this is the issues I have with the big book in AA. They don't go over this critical thinking. They don't go over extreme ownership. They sort of edge you into it, but there's times you just have to face it head on, man. Identify the problem, confront the problem, control the problem, overcome the problem, move forward to the next objective. Develop a simple plan. Outline a clear, actionable plan with achievable goals. If you have to write it down in rehab, they had us write down what's your goals, what's your plan. And a lot of people are like, write them down. Simple. Don't be like in a year or two, I want to. No, simple. Start with you staying sober, focusing on your sobriety. Don't focus on, I want to make amends with this, this, and this, and this. Focus on your sobriety, staying sober, growing, and the 12 steps, in my honest opinion, will fall like this. They'll fall boom, 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 boom. As long as you focus, to me, on your key point of your you and your sobriety and focusing on your plans of action, that gives you a tent, that gives you that focus, that gives you something to look at and look upon and work for towards. Develop a simple plan. If your simple plan is, I want to get a job, great. Don't look at, I want to get a job. We all could get jobs. Look at, how am I going to keep that job? That's a little bit stronger. I want a job. Yeah, so does everybody else down the street. I want to keep a job because we all know, as alcoholics, we've lost many jobs or we've had problems keeping the one that we have. So look at, how can you keep your job? Take ownership of setbacks. When a mistake happens, don't get discouraged. Acknowledge it, learn from it, adjust your plan, move forward. And right there, that's it, man. That's it. But what's your setbacks? A lot of our setbacks are relapse. Why do you relapse? Why did you relapse? What caused you to relapse? You got to look inside, man. This goes right back to identify the problem, take ownership, everything. Why? What made you? You chose to. You chose wrong. Own it. Don't expect people to feel bad for you. Don't feel bad for yourself. Say, damn, all right, I dropped the ball. Why did I drop the ball? Ain't going to happen again. And you got to convince yourself. And when you convince yourself and tell yourself that I learned that will not happen again, you can move forward. You don't beat yourself up. Move forward. Act decisively. Implement your plan with discipline, dedication, determination, overcoming any mental resistance or weakness, perseverance, willpower, strength. That's what that is talking about. When you overcome adversity, you develop perseverance. No matter how hard adversity slaps you in the face and beats you down, you get back up, you brush yourself off, and you move forward, creating strength. We have strength. Be patient and persistent. Recovery is a process. Apply extreme ownership consistently, even when progress is slow. It's not a race, it's a stroll, not a marathon, not a sprint. It's a stroll. As you stroll, you're learning. When you sprint, you may not see things. So enjoy the walk. Extreme ownership is something I've been really, really trying to find how to label what with recovery and how I approach it. You got to dig deep, man. Extreme ownership, it's scary. It's very scary. We don't We don't want to have to look at ourselves and own everything. What's the reason people relapse? I tell everybody, and everybody I've talked to, every AA meeting I've been to, other groups I've overheard, people I've talked to in the gym. Um, the one thing a lot of them aren't told, you got to own what you do and own it with extreme ownership, man. You have to own it as like, and it's a part of you. A lot of therapists I've talked to, they don't take that approach. Actually, none of them do. They want you to be compassionate. All right, yeah, be compassionate towards yourself. Be understanding to yourself. But you got to own it. A lot of people I've talked to, and we hit this on the head when in the last one I talked about was relapse is unacceptable. It is unacceptable. That should not even be in your mind. When you hear people say relapse is expected, say no, it's not. When you hear people say relapse is expected, that's giving you justification to relapse. Wow, so if I relapse, I get a drink, it's expected, people's going to leave me alone. No, no, it is not acceptable. It is unacceptable to relapse. To have a craving, that's normal. I get cravings. Everybody gets cravings. But those cravings only last for a short time. I think I read, and I always tell everybody, craving lasts 15 to 20 minutes. It is a thought. Own that thought. Don't be ashamed of that thought. Own it, let it pass. After those 20 minutes, it becomes an obsession, an obsessive thought. And in a short while, it becomes impulsive. And then after that, you're drinking. There you go. Exactly in that order, man. When we make extreme ownership, we take ourselves and hold ourselves to the highest of standards. We are our own leaders. Like it says here, we are our own leaders. So we got to lead by example. Everybody wants to say, I want to impress my family. Our families at one time did look at us as leaders, as somebody they could depend upon, someone they could come to. And when we start going down that road of broken promises and broken dreams and letdowns and everything, it becomes guilt. And we can't make it past, and it's hard to make it past that guilt. Hard, not difficult, not impossible. But when you own it, when you own our mistakes in life, when we own where we dropped the ball at, where we failed at, it's a bit, believe it or not, it's a weight off your shoulder because you are really, really accepting what you did, where we went wrong. When you own it and you face it, man, let me tell you something. It's like a sigh of relief. And when you are showing improvements, when you have that goal in mind to say, I'm going to focus on sobriety and then I'm going to stay sober, that's your next step. I'm going to focus on sobriety. Don't wait until after your 12 months to say, now how am I going to stay? No, it's a combination, man. When you're focused on sobriety, and you got a game plan, to stay is easy. It's just you're retraining yourself. If you get a routine, this is why I'm adamant about routines. If you go to work and you got to be in at say 8, you get up at 6, do your morning thing, shower, go to the restroom, shave, read, meditate, get the kids ready for school. Or if you don't have kids, walk the dog. If you don't have a dog, go for a walk. Clear your mind. Sit there in bed for 3 minutes. Relax. Then get up, have your coffee, go to work. You're getting off at 5. If you're lucky to have a 9 to 4, 8 to 4, a 9 to 5 job, look at your time. Well, I'm off at 5. It takes me 30 minutes to get home. I'll go to bed at 10. Go to the gym. Get a workout. If you have the kids, help them out with their homework. Put them to bed. Go to the gym. Some closes at 11. Some stay open 24 hours. Time it. Get your schedule so not jam packed where you're overwhelmed, but have a routine. That's what we need. That's what a lot of us find is structure and proper routine. Then, now when you come into your 1 year mark, you are in a good routine that you don't want to break. And during that time, read. You don't have to rely on AA. Again, you're your own leader. A good leader in the military. Let me talk about some good leaders. A lot of the Army has their set standards on how a leader needs to be. As with every branch, they got it. Leaders, platoon leader book, platoon sergeant book, squad leaders book. They have specific books for specific positions in the military as far as key leaders. And that's not the only way to be a leader. That sets the foundation. A good leader has also been known to go read historical books, Sun Tzu, a lot of these other, the Book of Five Rings by Musashi, The Art of War by Machiavelli, Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius. A lot of these other great leaders, they read so they can apply to their fundamentals. Are they wrong? No, they're brilliant. They're smart. They're ingenious because they're looking to grow and have more tools at their disposal. This is what it means to be your own leader and to grow. Going through AA, you don't have to stay with the confinements of the big book. It's a good foundation, but you got to go out. Like I said, we're going to touch on some of these key things, because I think this makes sense. You go and you learn and you read and you listen to different podcasts and you challenge yourself with thinking, how can this quote reflect on me? How can I apply this from what I'm going through and who I am and what I am? That's extreme ownership. You're owning who you are, but don't settle for that. We're an alcoholic. We have an addiction problem. Am I going to settle for that? Hell no. Am I going to be labeled that? No. I want to be a good father. I want to be a good husband. I want to be a good leader. You're not going to let that hold you back. There's been so many people throughout history that has had addiction problems, and now they're famous. They don't let nothing hold them back. They know what they have. They know they have an illness, but that's not going to identify who they are. And too many times we let that happen. But that's a topic for another day. Just owning it doesn't mean you got to submit to it. It means you're owning it now to rise above it and grow. Like I said, we're going to break these all down, man. You want to, going, and these are good steps too. You could look at these steps and add them to your 12 steps. And you have like, hey, I follow 50 to 60, 100 steps, or I have my own way of doing it based off of the 12 steps. But checking your ego, that's a big one for us. We always say we don't have ego because we're humble, because no, everybody has ego. Again, it goes into humility, man. When you're humble, you're going to learn try it out. I'm going to straight tell you, go to a group, a meeting, 100 different meetings out there. And as they're going through the big book, if somebody says, hey, anybody have anything, quote something on Stoicism. They're going to look at you with two heads on your shoulder, like you have three heads on your shoulder. They're going to look at you, what are you talking about? That's not in the big book. That is not right. That's because you're going outside of the scope to tailor it to you and your personal growth. You got to be humble and learn different tools. There's so many different ways and different tools to help you grow. Sort of like I said in the back, firefighting here a while ago. There's one set way, but if you listen to these guys and girls who have experience, they're going to give you different tools for your toolbox. You never want to settle for one set way, because one set way may not work for you. So you have a good foundation, but have other tools. Be humble to learn other ways. You gotta have, there's not a bad team, only bad leaders. So that falls on you. You know, there is, for recovery isn't progressing. Well, why? If your recovery is not progressing, if you have, if you're like still stuck and you're not saying, I don't feel like I'm going past, and again, the 12 steps are great. I've worked them. I'm not getting past step 8. I'm not getting past this step. I'm not progressing. What am I doing wrong? You got to look yourself in the mirror. A lot of times you go to your sponsors looking for answers. Now my sponsor ain't helping you. No, your sponsor is helping you. They're just telling you that's something you got to answer for yourself. Why aren't you making it past that? Why are you stopping yourself? And that's what it comes down to. You got to ask yourself that. And people don't like that when it comes to extreme ownership. They want the answers given to them. Ask anybody who has a sponsor. My sponsor didn't help me. I had to get a new sponsor. That sponsor was helping you. You just didn't like the way they were helping you. I'm a sponsor like this. I make you think for yourself. I make you ask yourself why. You don't ask me why this ain't working. I don't know you. I don't know why. Why is it not working for you? What is going on with you? A lot of people don't like that because they have to face their problems and face their selves as to what's going on. Again, accountability, extreme accountability or extreme ownership. That's how I view this. As a sponsor, I can't give you the answers to everything. Ain't gonna happen. This is your journey, your recovery, your sobriety. Sponsor only gives you point to talk with stuff on you with the 12 steps and then tell you how does this reflect on you? How does this make you feel? Where are you at? Are you honest with yourself? Do you have extreme ownership over your actions? And a lot of them, no. They want to breeze through the 12 steps just to say they did it, but they never took the time. Look here. That's being a bad leader. You got to take the time as a leader. A good leader has their own style of leadership. There's no one set leader that's the same. So what kind of leader are you? There is no bad luck. There's no bad circumstances. If you make a choice, it is because you made that choice. If you choose to pick up and not face something of an everyday problem, that is your decision, your choice to do so. Own it. Ask yourself why. The whole prioritize and execute. You got to find out. You can't go to everybody. Well, you could ask, hey, how did you do it? What helped for you? So perhaps I could apply it, or I could figure out something to make it work for me. Ask questions for a plan. And a lot of them will give you a game plan that may work for them. And you got to find out, and in the end, you're going to find out what your game plan is. Again, mine was focusing on sobriety, going to meetings, talking to people, reading, and keeping myself occupied to where there are times my brain was so drained, I just slept for 12 hours on end. Nothing wrong with that because your brain is a muscle. You work it out, you got to let it rest. But you got to have a good, our plans flawless? No, there's gonna be rough patches along the way, especially on the first, in sobriety, the first year is rough. It was rough for me. Everything that was your trigger, you had to face sober. You had to develop the tool set to face it and move forward. We're so used to having this. It don't work like that because when we wake up, it's still right there in our face. So having a plan. I'm going to read one book a month on a self-help thought process or a mindset book. I'm going to read that for a month. And I'm going to write down. I'm going to journal or I'm going to log. And you do that and you get in a good groove. And those plans, they help you. Those tools help strengthen your plan. So if something happens, you got tools to pull from and come back stronger. Without those tools, that have an ability, a safety net, or something to help you, you're going to fall, and you're going to fall hard. So I look at extreme ownership as also redoing your thought process. Making you slow it down, making you look at the whole picture from an objective or a bird's eye view, and seeing the map, seeing your walk, knowing that you're going to run into problems, but what kind of problems? Run into triggers. How are you going to overcome those triggers? Run into this person at work or this person in the family. How are you going to You can't avoid them forever. You're going to have to meet them. You're going to have to see this person. So having a plan with prioritizing things and executing them is also in your mind. If you look at great football players, sports, they run plays over in their head, and they throw in all types of variables. Well, this person does this, they could do this, I could go here, and they run it in their mind. Is it perfect? No. Does it give them the necessary tools to recover with? Yes. So in the military, we always ran the main plan, a B, a C, a main plan, a contingency plan, and a plan for that. That way, we're always able to rise to the occasion and always able to move forward. It's reformatting your brain, retraining it, you know, keeping it simple. Guys, man, sobriety is not difficult. It's a challenge. It's not hard. It's a challenge. It is aligned with adversity, you know, and when we can't turn a blind eye to it, we know it's coming. And there are days where life is golden, man. There's no triggers, there's no stressors. I honestly feel sometimes life says I threw enough stuff at you. I'm gonna give you a couple days to chill, to dial it back in, to relax, recover, and then we're gonna go back at it again. It's life. It's teaching you. Life is greatest of all teachers. But you got to keep your plans simple. You got to keep your goals simple. Complicating these plans, having too much on your table it's gonna weigh you down. It's gonna drag you down. You're gonna feel you haven't accomplished anything, and you're gonna get stressed out, and you're gonna relapse. Keep your plans simple. Focus on one goal. Always out the door. Not I want to stay sober. Well, we've wanted, if you've ever done it before, I talked to a lot of people I wanted to the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, and they gave me words of advice when I went to the Hog. Everybody here wants to stay sober. They want to be sober. Throw that out the window. How are you going to stay sober? Because everybody comes out there. Well, not everybody. A lot of people come out golden, swinging for the fences, feeling good, taking the world on, and then having too much, and then right back where they started from. When you get out, or if you are out, ask yourself, how am I going to stay sober? Because I want to doesn't open up the doors for steps and game plans. Want to means you're going to, okay. And then that want to means like, well, shit happens. How am I going to is going to be like, make you stop. Think about it. How am I going to get to work if my car breaks down? Well, the bus runs at this time. You're looking on your phone. I'm going to have to get up at this time, or, do I have enough money for Uber to get me there? Oh, that's going to be a little bit more money. I might as well just take the bus and get up early and see how long it takes to get there and plan accordingly. Reframing your brain. So, how am I going to stay sober right out the door? Is deeper. It's going to put all these into play. Decentralize your command. You know, you could empower different units in your body. We just said that. How are you going to empower your mind? Well, when I was at the Hog, I always say this: they had us reflect and meditate, and just sometimes just sitting in a quiet room, decompressing, exercises the mind, man. Reading, Get a good book. Ah, man, reading's hard. Reading's not hard. We've been doing it since we were 5. You don't want to do it. You don't want to put the time into it. It's boring only because you want it to be boring. What other excuses you have? Get rid of the excuses. Throw them out. That's what leads up to us drinking and relapsing. Excuses. Empowering your emotions. How can you control your emotions? You control your thoughts. We get angry, we get upset. Is this worth it? Sometimes I lose my temper, and I come back and I redial. I'm not perfect, but it's also for going back and asking yourself, why did I do that? What was the cause? Was it worth it? No. What can I learn from it? How can I do better to prevent that? Check your emotions, breathe. And sometimes like we said, we're human. Boom. And then we just learn from it. Don't beat yourself up. Our body. Go to the gym. Go if you're not into the gym, go for a walk. Do something to help make your body healthy again. We were born healthy. We poured so much crap and took so much stuff in, it made it unhealthy. So make it healthy again. I ain't got time. See excuses. That's what kills us. This is what extreme ownership is about. Recognize the excuse, eliminate the excuse, and don't ever use it again. Because excuses become why we justify why we do. We think about it. Our whole family, we've used excuses after excuses after excuses to keep drinking. What led you to drink? Why are you still drinking? Oh, this person and this work. You just want to. That's it. You just want to drink. You want to have it. I've been there. I know. We've all been there, man. Eliminate that. Again, extreme ownership is about changing your thought, reprogramming your mind. That's where everything starts from, the mind. Accepting that we are human and we dropped the ball and we lived our life with a ton of excuses and reasons, but no true honesty, not even with ourselves. Lead by example. This is a big one. This is what scares a lot of people. You want to be that key leader that your family wants look to you as someone they could depend upon. Yourself, to depend upon yourself, to have self-respect for yourself and dignity and pride. Puff your chest out. Walk in around the world. I accomplished this and I still am accomplishing this. Leading by example is not mean we are cured. We will never be cured. It will always be recovering. But now you have tools to pass on to other people who are ready to take that next step in life. Staying sober, these are all tools. The 12 steps are to teach us how to be sober, achieve sobriety. But to me, it really lacks in telling you on how to be sober. Go back and redo your steps and reread them. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, there is nothing wrong with that. But go outside of the spectrum. How can you make your sobriety stronger? How can you reinforce the steps? To only go back to the steps if you feel you need to, or if you're going to help teach and help guide. Extreme ownership is hard, man. It's not easy. It is actually scary because you have to confront a lot of everything that you drop the ball on. And then extreme ownership goes into always talking to your family, talking to people you let down, getting rid of that ego and accepting that we screwed up and they have every right to be pissed off. But they're not there to hurt you. And if they have to vent, they have to vent. We own it. We deserve it. After they get done venting, they feel good. We learn from it. And then they'll talk to us. Hey, this is where you dropped the ball at. We know you could do better, but you got to know you could do better. Listening to people. That's what this is all about too. Extreme ownership, that's not easy, man. It's not. And in the military, that's what made us great leaders. And you could take the military mindset. I believe, what was his name? Can't remember the guy who wrote the big book, but he was a World War I vet. You know, back then, they didn't have PTSD. They called it shell shock. They didn't have the PTSD clinics. They didn't have the deep understanding of that. So a lot of veterans, and it's you see it everywhere. It's a result of drinking to deal with that. You know, so there's now this isn't 19 whatever World War I. You know, we have the tools and the ability to grow and to learn, so we can move forward. We dropped the ball. We became drinkers. We drowned. We didn't quite work. Think about it. But if you are relapsing, go back to these steps in conjunction with your 12 steps. You could tie these in all together. You know, where did I drop the ball at? Did I really accountable for myself? Probably not, being honest. I did that on my own. I tell everybody I was one of the guys that tried to be sober on myself, and I was a dry drunk. Did it for 3 months. Thought I had it controlled. Yeah, I got this. No, I didn't have nothing. I had nothing. I had no control over anything. And I just made up for the drinking time. And we all been there. We've all done it. And it took me hitting my rock bottom and going to the hog to really dial it in and embrace that military mindset once again of accountability, owning it. You know, we don't, when you go to a rehab, this is why I chose one that was ran by first responders and veterans, because they taught you got to own it. Civilian minds, it's hard to wrap around, but not difficult. It can be hard, but not difficult. Just got to be open and read. People, there's so many self-help books, and if you're not much of a reader and you like audio books, download one. There's a ton of them. And if there's that, there's podcasts, there's YouTube channels. I think there's stuff on different groups all over. You could listen to, you could Zoom call in on them, and a lot of them are free. You know, a lot of them keep them within that. I think they say they keep them within an hour, because anything longer they do charge. So that's why they keep it within that 45 minutes. Sometimes they'll log off and send another code. I don't. This is a different way. There's a way. Find a group set for you. Pick up tools along the way. Apply these. I'll read them out. Absolute accountability. Core principles. Number one, absolute accountability. Number two, check your ego. Number three, no bad teams, only bad leaders. Number four, prioritize and execute. Number five, keep it simple. Number six, decentralized command. Number seven, lead by example. Applying extreme ownership to your recovery. We're going to go over these again. Identify the problem. Clearly define the core issues hindering recovery. I'm going to not relapse, recover on this again. Or not recover. Mine's going ahead. I'm going to hit these again. What caused you to drink? What caused you to relapse? Got to be honest with yourself on this. Honesty isn't just with the family. Honesty starts with you. Before you can make amends with the family, you think that's step 8, you got to make amends with yourself. Develop a simple plan. Come on. Again, outline a clear, actionable plan with achievable goals. Simple. Not what I want to do, but how am I going to do it? Normal people could say, well, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm going. We got to reformat our brain to how. How are we? Ownership of setbacks. Do you really take ownership of your relapse? Or do you blame everything else and everybody else? No one to blame but yourself. You chose. I tell everybody we have choices. You have a choice to pick up a phone, call a sponsor, get a ride to an AA meeting. Or we could pick up a bottle. Choice is yours. Act decisively. Implement your plan with discipline, overcoming any mental resistance or weakness. Discipline, dedication, determination overcomes adversity, creates perseverance and resilience. That's what we want, right? We want to have that willpower. It's a formula, but if you look at it and you follow a formulated plan, get it when we were drinking, we had that stuff down to a science. Well, I could drink this much before I can't be operational, but I can make it work out the day. I get up at this time. I can, here you go. I go to work. I can hear this during break. This water throughout the rest of the day. I could drink this. We had that down to a science, man. We knew the measurements. Apply the same thing in a positive manner, and you'll start overcoming all your adversity. Be patient, and that's the problem we have as recovering alcoholics. We're not patient. We want, because that's how our mind was. We were impulsive. I say was because it don't have to be. We could change that if you want to. But we were persistent about that drink, right? Well, I can stretch this. I really don't need to eat. I got a box of Cheerios. Got a can of Spam and some refried beans. I'll be okay. You know what? I could go a couple days without food. I'll be all right. We do all of that, man. We're persistent about that bottle. Be persistent about your recovery. Be patient, though. There's going to be a slow progress. There's going to be times where it's like, man, this is actually pretty good. It's going very well. And then it's going to be slow life throwing us adversity, temptations, our switches, our triggers. Life will throw it at us. And a lot of times, life does that is when we're not ready. And then it's like, oh, I'm too overwhelmed. I had a setback. And own it. Take it back to the beginning. But again, it goes back to what Chad Wright said. Google him. Watch his. Chad Wright said, if you're tired of starting over, then stop starting over. See how this all ties in? The military mindset on extreme ownership ties in perfectly with AA. It's a little bit more aggressive, but I look at it this way. We were aggressive to get that drink. We were persistent to get that drink. We should be aggressive with our recovery and persistent with our recovery. We have the ability to make a choice with our recovery, to stay recovered, to stay sober, or to FAFO. And when you F around, you're going to find out that we can no longer drink. We cannot. It will do us no good. And the thing is, I get a lot of people, man, my family was starting to trust me. I drank. It was just, because yes, the family was always going to say, we expected you to relapse, but did they want you to? No, man, they wanted you to stay the course. But deep in the back of their mind, they're expecting that until you prove otherwise. So when you go to bed tonight, stop saying, I want, say how. How am I? How will I do that? If this was to arise tomorrow, what will be my plan of actions and how will I accomplish them and how will I stay on top? You got to start reformatting your mind, your verbiage, and your attitude, and your outlook, and accepting that you own everything and extreme ownership. We got to go extreme on this, man. Otherwise, I see people diddly daddling around and there's no reason to. You can be sober, you can stay sober, and you never have to pick up again. And again, there are going to be temptations. There will be adversity. You cannot shield yourself in a big plastic bubble away from the world, man. You can't. This is going to develop the tools you need. And the thing I see with AA in the big book is they don't give you much of the tools. They give you the 12 steps, which is a good set to have as a beginner tools. But there's so many other tools out there that cut right to the point. But again, 1930s, 40s, that time era, that wasn't as evolved as it is now. You know, you have tools at your disposal. You got apps that you can download, that help. You got books. You got downloadable material. You got Google, for crying out loud. Amazon, right off the bat. You need a book, audio. Boop. Oh, okay. Now I'm going to plug in my buds and listen. You got stuff on YouTube, on podcasts, stoicism, on motivation, recovery tactics, recovery strategies, how to do it, what to do, when to do. They have all the stuff out there at your disposal. You don't want to read, you don't like to read, that's fine, but you can listen. There's always a will, there's a way. You got to be extreme about this. You have no choice. Okay, let me take that back. You do have a choice, but choose wisely. I look at myself when I do this, I don't want to fail. Failure is not an option. Now, what does that mean before we log off? We choose not to fail. Nobody I know everybody I talk to, they don't want to fail. They don't choose not to fail. NFL teams, they want to go out there and win. What happens when they lose the game? Why did we lose? How did we lose? What went on? What can we improve upon? You got to look at your game like that. You got to look at the map like that, man. I love listening to motivational speakers for football, for baseball, for any sports. Listen to these coaches talk. They have a game plan. Stick to it. Develop your own. Be extreme about it. Accept that we are human, but don't accept failure as an option. Don't. I always tell myself, I will not fail. I will not drink. I refuse to drink. I will always find a better way. If I feel that, like a trick of not trick, but something I like, when I feel that trigger, I ask, what's causing me to trigger? What's going on to make me want to have this trigger to want to drink? And here's the thing, the minute you ask yourself that, and you ask yourself, how can I overcome this? 20 minutes later, it's gone, because it's putting your mind in a different area to question it. Accepting the trigger as everyday reason, as everyday encounter, owning it, but owning the questions of it. What's causing it? What am I going to do about it? How can I overcome it? How can I achieve my goal so it never comes back? Arming yourself. Sometimes this comes up. How different methods for this type of a trigger. Okay. By the time you're done reading, because you're going to read, you're going to find something interesting. You want to answer the question. Sometimes you got to read, or hey, YouTube it, listen to it. By the time you find that video, plug it in, spend 45, 50 minutes, and now you're learning something new about yourself, and you're developing a skill set. It's all out there. Extreme ownership, developing a simple plan. You own the setbacks, and it's not a setback, but it can become a setback if you let it, right? See, if you have a trigger that causes you to drink, you identify the problem before it becomes a step back, you're identifying the problem right at step A, before it finally goes through B, C to D. You're eliminating it. You're recognizing the step B. Also you're creating positive habits. You're working through your game plan. You're sticking to your simple plan, right? All right here. Finally, when you get to that lead by example, as all AA people eventually get to, we want to teach, we want to sponsor, we want to point. And well, this is the book I read. Give it a shot. And let's talk about what you read. Next thing you know, they're developing a skill set, and you're continuously growing yourself. Extreme ownership, everybody. It's a whole wide array. You're just owning everything you do, positive, negative. You're owning it all. Why? Because that helps us become a better person, And again, our ultimate goal is for our family to love us and trust us and embrace us and be a success and stay a success. These are the steps. You can use these in conjunction, with your 12 steps to reinforce them or develop your own steps. The big book is just a foundation at that time to give you point. It is meant to evolve. How many big books are out? I mean, let me see. There's one, two, three. I think they are up to four now. Starting from one that's thicker, going to, I think there's four now. I lost count. But create your own method. Base it off of that, but grow. Remember, you can do this. You got to own it, accept it, face it, overcome it, move forward. Never look back. Our future is not in back. Our future is in front of us. You never look back unless there's lessons to be learned. Unless you're pulling something as a example. Never look back. Our future's in front, not in the rear. Extreme ownership does that to you. It labels it, not labels it, it lays it out. So own it. Start practicing that. Start living it. Start taking the self check from the head up. And remember, if you guys have any questions, leave them on the comment section of YouTube, and I'll send you where I get this stuff from. And you're going to, base it off of this. Like I said, when I read these word for word, how does that apply to you? What are you taking from that? That's how we grow. And if you take the same one and you say, hey, how does this apply to this person? They're going to look at you like you're crazy. But once they start listening to you and then you start talking, they're like, well, this applies to me like this. And now they're learning something about themselves. Got to pay it forward, man. But extreme owners, scary shit. I mean, extreme ownership is very scary. It can be intimidating because we're afraid to confront ourselves. Once you do that, man, I'm telling you, it's like a true sigh of relief. Now you have clarity. And that's what the objective is here. Clarity. You want to see everything clear. But that's my thing. I felt good to be back. It took me a little while to figure out what I was going to come back with. I hope everybody's enjoying this beautiful night. It's wonderful out. Enjoy your time with your family. Stay safe. Stay sober. And I hope to hear from you guys. You guys have a wonderful night.